Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And you know, I'm doing something that I don't normally do. Yeah, I'm doing a show on Saturday. Yeah, I know, I don't normally do that. Normally it's Mondays and Fridays, but due to various things yesterday, I was not able to wind up getting a show done yesterday. And instead of skipping the Ask Me Anything, I decided to put it off until Saturday. And, well, yeah, I know. Normally I would have just, screw it. But there was a question that came in that I wanted to answer. And, well, it's kind of interesting that I'm recording this on Saturday instead of Friday because, well, this is going to be a completely different show than if I recorded yesterday. And I'll explain. So the question is, Darryl, I'm looking for something like OpenBazaar, but where the sellers can accept Dash. Do you have a recommendation, or is that even a thing? And my first thought was OpenBazaar is multi-currency. I'll take a look and get back to you. So I looked into OpenBazaar, and I'll explain exactly what OpenBazaar is here in a moment. But the interesting thing about OpenBazaar is that if you're buying things using OpenBazaar, you can use a bunch of different cryptocurrencies to buy things. However, the sellers are only allowed to choose to receive Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, or Zcash. So what this person is looking for is he wants to sell things and he wants to receive Dash. And so then I wound up having what might possibly be a solution, and that is to just set up his own website, use WooCommerce. That's probably the easiest platform for listing items on a website, WooCommerce. And then there's a website that I use. Well, I say there's a website. They have a website. It's a service. It's a payment processor, coinpayments.net. And if you actually go through shop.fppradio.com, there's a affiliate link for coin payments. But they allow the seller to wind up receiving multiple cryptocurrencies, Dash being one of them. But let me explain exactly what is OpenBazaar, and then I'll get into why this is a completely different show today than if I would have recorded yesterday. So OpenBazaar is a decentralized online marketplace, meaning that there's not a central place. You can't necessarily go to openbazaar.com and then buy things. You can go to openbazaar.com, but that just tells you about, and actually openbazaar.com is not the website. It's openbazaar.org, so openbazaar.com links over to openbazaar.org. So that tells you about the thing, and it allows you to download the OpenBazaar platform. See? So it's decentralized. There's not a central place that runs OpenBazaar. And this is really interesting, especially in light of Backpage being shut down. And you might have heard that recently Craigslist removed their personal ads. And how does this tie into OpenBazaar and people being able to accept multiple cryptocurrencies? Well, because there was this absolutely horrible piece of legislation that wound up going through Congress recently that is working its way to the president's desk. And it's actually two different pieces of legislation. They're companion bills. One of them is called FOSTA. One of them is called SESTA. FOSTA is the Allowing States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, and SESTA is the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act. All right, sounds pretty good, right? Like, sex trafficking is a horrible thing. However, when you actually read the text of the legislation, you see that it's not necessarily about only stopping sex trafficking. It's about stopping anything that could be deemed as prostitution. Because the bills wind up saying that anyone who has a website, and I'm paraphrasing here, they use a lot of words to describe what a website is. They mention electronic communications that interstate commerce, something. So basically a website. If you have a centrally located website and you allow people, they use the term facilitate, that basically just means allow. You allow someone to post on your website saying, I'm looking for, intimate time, and I would like to exchange money for intimacy, and 5 people do that, under these bills that are soon to become law, you would be considered to be a sex trafficker. Yeah, pretty bad, right? So the bills, while having sex trafficking in the name, have absolutely nothing to do with actually stopping sex trafficking. It's all about stopping prostitution. And again, as I mentioned, Backpage was shut down. Article from Reuters. From yesterday, U.S. law enforcement agencies seized the marketplace, Backpage.com. Now, Reuters listed as a sex marketplace. That's not all that it was. It was an online classified thing, very similar to Craigslist. I don't think anybody would consider Craigslist to be a sex marketplace, but I digress and continue. There wound up being a notice posted on the Backpage.com website. So if you go to Backpage.com, you will see this image that says Backpage and affiliated websites have been seized as part of enforcement actions by the FBI, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, with analytical assistance from the Joint Regional Intelligence Center. Blah-de-da-de-da, we're going to give you more info, but I don't think they ever actually posted up a press release like they said they were going to. Stay tuned, there's more. This is Darryl W. Perry, host of Free Talk Live. This November, I'll be running in the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, and I've accepted a spot on Team Innocence Project because I'm a passionate supporter of their work. Since 1989, 353 people in the United States have been exonerated by DNA testing, including 38 who pled guilty to crimes they did not commit, and 20 of whom served time on death row. The Innocence Project provided direct representation or critical assistance in 180 of these cases. With your help, the Innocence Project can help even more people who have been wrongly convicted. As part of Team Innocence Project, I'm raising awareness about wrongful convictions and raising funds to help free the innocent. I've already paid the race registration fees. However, to secure my spot on Team Innocence Project in the New York City Marathon, I need to raise $3,500 by November 1st. You can support the Innocence Project and help me secure my race entry by going to run.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And all of this that I'm covering ties into the question about OpenBazaar. Because again, the question is there something similar to OpenBazaar that allows the seller to wind up receiving Dash? Because OpenBazaar, the decentralized marketplace, that there is no central server that can be taken down by the feds if somebody decided that they wanted to wind up selling something other than physical, tangible goods. is there something that, allows the seller to receive Dash? And I did some searching, and I can't find anything that is similar to OpenBazaar. Now, there's a website, alternative2.net, that is supposed to wind up showing you things that are similar to whatever you're searching for, and they list Amazon, eBay, AliExpress, Etsy, Craigslist, ThinkGeek, Best Buy, Walmart, and several other things as alternatives to OpenBazaar. None of those are actual alternatives to OpenBazaar. So it appears as though OpenBazaar is the only thing of its kind, ... at this time. So let's get back into the article here from Reuters in just a moment. But first, I want to make sure maybe you want to decentralize some of your investments. And I realize that's not really the best use of a term there, but maybe you want to... I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of. Diversify. That's the word I'm looking for. You want to diversify some of your investments. Maybe you want to hold some crypto. Maybe you want to turn some of that crypto into some precious metals. If that's the case, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage can help. Since 1977, they've been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also have some platinum and palladium. And they are a crypto-preferred business, meaning they want to take your cryptocurrencies and then give you gold and or silver or platinum or palladium or some combination thereof in return. See? So it's value for value. You get precious metals, they get crypto, everybody's happy. And to show that they are crypto preferred, they have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in digital currency. So call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760. That's 800-874-9760. Or visit online at rrbi.co. So again, I said that this show today is going to be different than if I would have recorded the show yesterday, and that's because, well, yesterday at the time that I was hoping to have recorded, the Backpage.com website had not been taken down by federal agents. The article here from Reuters, and then there's actually an opinion piece from the Sexual Politics blog that I want to get into that explains more in depth why FOSTA and SESTA are not actually going to wind up helping the victims of sex trafficking, the actual victims of sex trafficking, the way the supporters say that it will. The article here from Reuters continues. Groups and political leaders working to end forced prostitution and child exploitation celebrated the shutdown of Backpage, something that they refer to as a massive online marketplace primarily used to sell sex. But some internet and free speech advocates warned that the action could lead to harsh federal limits on expression and freedom of the press. A website posting by the U.S. attorneys in Arizona and California, as well as the DOJ section on child exploitation and obscenity, and the California and Texas attorneys general helped shut down the website. The DOJ, late on Friday, said that a court in Arizona ruled the case remains sealed, which puts legal information under wraps. Now, I did see another article saying that 7 people had been arrested and a total of 93 criminal charges filed against them, from prostitution-related charges to money laundering. An FBI official out of the Phoenix office said there were law enforcement activities in Sedona, Arizona, where Michael Lacey, one of the founders of Backpage, lived, but referred further inquiries to the DOJ. And then the article here, and I will post the link in the show notes, article gets into some quotes from politicians about how this is going to wind up being wonderful and it's going to wind up stopping all of these horrible, horrible things. But again, I've got an article here saying, no, it's actually going to do the opposite. Now, article here from Reuters also mentions that in 2016, authorities in California and Texas raided the Dallas headquarters and arrested Chief Executive Carl Ferrer, that's Chief Executive of Backpage, and other company executives, charged them with pimping-related offenses. The judges in the case ruled the website was protected by the First Amendment and was not liable for the speech of third parties. So what you have here is federal officials that are acting as though FOSTA and SESTA are on the books, even though they've not actually been signed by the president, but his the press person for President Trump issued a statement on his behalf saying that the president applauded the passage, which leads one to believe that he's going to wind up signing the law. Now, again, article from Sexual Politics blog says that FOSTA and SESTA would chill innovation. Together, these measures would chill innovation and competition among internet companies. Large companies like Google and Facebook may have the budgets to survive the massive increase in litigation and liability that the bills would bring. They may also have the budgets to implement a mix of automated filters and human censors to comply with the law. Small startup companies will not. And the increased risk of litigation, it would be further difficult for new startups to find the funding they need to compete with Google. Today's large internet companies would not have grown to prominence without the protections of Section 230 of the Computer Decency Act that basically says that you can't be held responsible for what somebody else posts on your website. Stay tuned. There's more. During the 2013 Porcupine Freedom Festival, Davi Barker presented an idea for a renegade psychological experiment. Since then, he has refined his idea and put his plan and research into writing. He explains, "We aim to show the world beyond a shadow of a doubt that power corrupts absolutely and corrupt authority deserves no obedience." Authoritarian Sociopathy is available from Amazon.com, all major bookstores, and now available as an audiobook. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. We'll get back into the article here from the Sexual Politics blog. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about an end-to-end encrypted system using zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, and value can be securely transmitted and stored. I'm talking about Zencash. With over 8,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed secure node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of interaction, or the ideas of voluntary interaction, being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. And the Zencash wallet is available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. Article from the Sexual Politics blog, and yes, the link will be in the show notes, says that FOSTA would actually censor victims of sex trafficking, the people that are supposed to be helped by this FOSTA and SESTA bill. Again, FOSTA being the Allowing States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act, and SESTA being the Stop Enabling Sex Traffickers Act. Again, the actual wording of the legislation is that if you have a website and you facilitate, meaning you allow, you don't remove the post, from 5 or more people, saying that they want to participate in some kind of prostitution-related thing, then you, the website operator, would be charged as a sex trafficker, even if you weren't actually sex trafficking. Again, I like to point to the way legislation at the federal level always does the complete opposite of what they say. So if there ever were an Everybody Gets a Puppy Act, it would have nothing to do with everybody getting a puppy. The article here continues. Most dangerous still is the impact that FOSTA would have on online speech. Facing the threat of extreme criminal and civil penalties, web platforms, large and small, would have little choice but to silence legitimate voices. Supporters of SESTA and FOSTA pretend that it's easy to distinguish online postings related to sex trafficking from ones that don't. It's not, and it's impossible to scale, or rather at the scale needed to police a site as large as Facebook or Reddit. The problem is compounded by FOSTA's expansion of federal prostitution law. Again, if 5 or more people wind up posting something construed as prostitution, the website operator is held liable and charged as a sex trafficker. The article continues. Platforms would have to take extreme measures to remove a wide range of postings, especially those related to sex. Some supporters of the legislation have argued that platforms can rely on automated filters in order to distinguish sex trafficking ads from legitimate content. That argument is laughable. It's difficult enough for a human to distinguish between a legitimate post and one that supports sex trafficking. A computer certainly could not do that with anything approaching 100% accuracy. Instead, platforms would have to calibrate their filters to over-censor. Now, let me pause here before talking about the automated filters and overly censoring. I remember back about 20 years ago or so, there was a college in Pennsylvania, Beaver College, that wound up having to change its name because the porn filters in high schools were not allowing students to visit the website for the college. There are other terms that are used, such as roses and flowers, that are used in prostitution-related posts. If you wind up censoring every post that deals with flowers and roses, then, well, sorry, but your neighbor's horticulture forum is going bye-bye because they're talking about flowers. Do you see how silly these automated filters can be now? Continuing on, it says, when web platforms rely too heavily on automated filters, it often puts marginalized voices at a disadvantage. Most tragically of all, the first people to be censored would be the actual victims of sex trafficking, because the very same words and phrases that a filter would use to attempt to delete a sex trafficking post would be words and phrases used by victims of sex trafficking trying to share their experience and offer help to other people. There are many stories of sex traffickers being caught by law enforcement thanks to clues that police officers and others found on online platforms. And then the article says Congress should think long and hard before dismantling the very tools that have proven most effective in fighting trafficking. But the problem is, Congress has already passed this, and yes, I know this post was made before it wound up working its way all the way through Congress. And then they talk about how FOSTA is the complete wrong approach. The article concludes, there's no amendment to FOSTA that would make it effective at fighting online trafficking while respecting the civil liberties of everyone online. That's because the problem with FOSTA and SESTA isn't a single provision or two, it's the entire approach. Creating more legal tools to go after online platforms would not punish sex traffickers. It would punish all of us, wrecking the safe online communities that we use every day. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. And don't forget, every Friday, I answer your questions. Send those over, ama.fppradio.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com.
This is Brian McQuaid from the Resist the Empire podcast, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. You know, this has been one of those incredibly interesting episodes because, well, yeah, it's an Ask Me Anything episode, and it started off by me answering a question about something similar to OpenBazaar, which there's not, but there probably will be something fairly soon, and it would not surprise me at all if something similar to OpenBazaar winds up being used to host personal ads. And you might be asking, well, that's kind of strange, right? But with the passage and soon-to-be adoption of FOSTA and SESTA, seeing that Craigslist has already removed their personal ad section, seeing that Backpage has been taken down completely. I've heard that Tinder and Grindr might be going away. I've heard that FetLife is considering shutting their doors because, well, these are centralized websites or centralized apps on a centralized server, meaning that they can be completely taken down by the feds, and then the operators can wind up being charged with criminal charges because 5 of the posts have been construed to wind up, selling sex. Well, if you have no central server, then there's no centralized thing that can be taken down. OpenBazaar has no central server. Yeah, there's a website where you can download the thing, but you know what? Because a bunch of people have downloaded this, if the OpenBazaar website goes away, the OpenBazaar platform continues to exist. It's one of the wonderful things about cryptocurrencies. They're distributed, they're decentralized, meaning that they're not on one particular server somewhere, they're on a bunch of them. So, yeah, would not surprise me at all if something similar to OpenBazaar started sometime soon for classified ads, for personal ads, and maybe they would wind up implementing one of these privacy cryptos for, charging upgrades or something. So, yeah, links to all of this will be in the show notes. You can read them all at your leisure. And again, don't forget, every Friday and, well, the occasional Saturday morning, I guess, I answer your questions. Send those over using the anonymous, if you want it to be anonymous, contact form, ama.fppradio.com. I say anonymous if you want it to be because you don't have to actually give your name, just a name and a question that I can understand. ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.